All right, parents. First off, I want to say thank you very much for joining us tonight on this college golf recruiting seminar. One of the biggest questions I get as a golf coach of juniors is, how do I get my kids started in the college golf arena? They're a good player, or maybe they're even beyond before that stage, but they're just ultimately that's the goal. And as they're getting invested and they're starting to put their time into this, how is this going to look when we get to the right time to look for colleges for the junior to play? So I want to answer some of those questions tonight, kind of show what we do at Scott Open Golf as part of our EPIC programming, and how we go about making this happen. So the first thing we want to start looking at is we're going to talk about getting a junior, what types of schools are available. And so where we go to do that, we actually look at this Ping American Golf Guide. We use it at Scott Open Golf quite regularly. So it's something we can always check and see what's going on. So what we can do is we actually come up and we can do a school search, and we'll do actually an advanced school search. And so I think that most people think with college golf is they think, if I'm good enough, somebody's going to find me, and they think they're going to get spotted by schools. But the thing you got to remember is there are a lot of schools and there's a lot of availability, but there are way more number of golfers and junior golfers that get involved in all of this that really kind of make this hard. People, unless you're a really, really top player, you really got to assume that they haven't found you yet. So you need to help them find you. So how do we do that? Well, we first start with, let's start narrowing down some schools. So we use this Ping guide that actually will give us a chance to go through, and this is something all our students get to use. This is a paid service that they offer. Programs, you do get to use it. We look at types of schools. Okay, I think that's something that a lot of times we don't think about. Where do we want to go to school? What does college look like? That's a big deal. So we can start picking sizes of schools, towns. Is it public? Is it private? 4-year, 2 years? And this is the big one where, I get a lot of people that say, all right, I want to go where it's warm. So, we automatically start looking at, all right, Arizona and Florida become pretty high on the list. So that's what we do. Is we start picking some of those schools. I even usually I'll throw in like a South Carolina or something like that to kind of mix in there, Georgia as well. So just for our purposes tonight, that's what we're going to do. So we picked a couple of our states. We want golf scholarships. Sometimes they don't have based on where they're at, and we want the division. If we want to have a specific division we want to play in, we can do that too. Conference, again, if you're really trying to be picky, you can start looking, hey, I want to play in this conference. Again, something that we typically don't do right off the bat as we start this process. Now, some of the stuff that we really do is we start looking at your major that kids want to be in. And now a lot of times kids don't think about their major and what they want to study. So this is an important question to start trying to answer as soon as possible. Now, it will change, very, very high chance it changes, but at least we've got something. And so I'll usually have people pick a few. So if, let's say we want to do education, we don't know if we want to be an economics major, a business and management, and then we'll pick a communication. So at least we're going to make sure the schools that come up have these degree programs. And then we also would start looking at ACT, SAT scores. Again, which it should be, that's a high priority, is the academics that the school offers. We want to start making sure those kind of align with what the junior's trying to do. So now we come down here, and this is another one. So I always will start with looking for what is the school, what are the players on the team currently shooting. I'm going to start with, we always start with the greater than usually, because I like to give you kind of an idea of what's out there. So let's say we're on the men's side right now. Let's say we're looking for greater than 75. Their number 3 player has a scoring average greater than 75. Take all the stuff we put in, the majors, everything we have, and we're going to start putting together a list. Okay. Um, so you'll see with that, we narrowed it down a decent amount, picking where we wanted to go to school by the states. And then we had our majors, and then we went from there. And you'll see we get a pretty decent sized list. And there's going to be some schools that you recognize. I mean, right off the bat, University of Arizona in the Pac-12. You can see their number 3 player average is 75. Florida Atlantic, again, not a bad school. They're coming up here and they're 75 as well. So these are some pretty good golf schools in this mix, but also some other ones that um, maybe you didn't know ever existed, but they're pretty good players that are on this team here in this area. So we start getting together. All right, these are the possibilities of what based on what you're looking for. This is where we have possibly to go. From here, what we can do is, let's say we wanted to go to University of Arizona. Uh, we click the school and we start getting a lot of information about what's going on. You can see some of the courses they're playing. Okay. You get a little information about the coach. You get the contact information of the coach, which is massive, because when we come up here next, what we want to do is actually contact the coach, make him know us. And then we start looking at the assistant coaches. You'll learn a little bit about them as well. I'd recommend looking up anything you can. Like I already know Chris Nalen. He won a web.com event. Very good player. I think he made it to the tour, if not very close. So you want to start knowing some of that stuff. The thing you want to start looking at is this school truly a fit? Again, we looked at the scoring average of 75. However, we come into here and we start looking, all right, they're playing Poppy Hills, former PGA Tour course, Pumpkin Ridge. That's where they played. Tiger Woods won his 3rd U.S. Amateur there. They also play other events there. Tucson National, they play a PGA, or they used to play a PGA Tour event there. Stanford Golf Club's a good one up there. Paso Tiempo is a very good golf course up in California. Whirlwind used to have a web.com event in Arizona. So you start seeing the quality of the courses they play. So again, you don't just look and say, hey, they have a scoring average of 75 and say, I do that. Difficulties of the courses and see if it actually aligns with what you're doing. So, in the southern Chicago golf course area, a lot of the courses that are in this area, you'd have to actually be quite a bit lower to garner some attention, or you'd have to go do this in tournaments um, that have some high quality golf courses. So that would be what you'd look for. So just start thinking about it that way as you're going through. As you want to make sure that when we pick schools that they do actually align. So it's not just the scoring average. You want to dig a little deeper and say, hey, where are they playing? So for this player, I'd really have to say with junior events, based again on where we're playing, we'd really need to be under par consistently. That's some pretty good golf courses for them to look at us. Because again, you look here down at the bottom, they played at Isleworth. A lot of PGA Tour players live at Isleworth. Colonial Country Club, again, hosts a PGA Tour event. So you start to get the picture of, hey, these are some really high quality golf courses these kids are shooting 75 at. So just keep that in mind as we go through, start looking at too. So maybe, okay, we decide Arizona's not a fit. And then we start picking out different areas. So we start going, let's go to Florida Atlantic. Again, very good golf club, very good golf program. Looking there. So let's say we decide, all right, this Florida FAU is one of the schools we want to put on our list. Okay, we've got our contact information. Again, we don't want to assume the coach has ever heard of us, because good chance they haven't. We just don't. This coach sees a lot of people, and we just want to make sure they don't assume anything, and we give them as much as we can. So we're going to make contact, and we're going to do it via email. There's a couple of guidelines that we go through. The first thing is what's the information they want, and how are we going to present it? Now, when we present this information, we want to present it in a way that is very, very concise. Again, these coaches are going to get quite a few resumes sent to them, so we don't want to bore them. You're going to send an introductory letter, which you put in the email. That is going to be very short and to the point. It's going to say a couple of things. First, you're going to say, an introduction about yourself, a little 2-sentence paragraph. You're going to make sure you bullet point your scoring average and maybe any big time wins or things like that. And then you're going to bullet point your GPA and then your ACT and SAT score if you've taken it. If you haven't taken it, tell them when you plan to take it, and then you're going to update them afterwards. Then from there, what you can start doing is, say, I've also included, thank you for your consideration. Make sure you include your contact information, phone number, email. Don't assume they're just going to see it off of the email that you send them. Make sure you follow up with that. And then what we typically do is we'll actually include a little bit of information. So what we do in our program is we actually start looking at stat tracking. So we would actually start including a little stat tracking, and this is one of our intermediate ones. And so we would have the date, the course, the tournament. If is it a tournament? How long was the course? What's the par? I would actually addend this a little bit. If we're sending this to colleges, we'd actually include the slope and rating of the course as well. And then they're going to obviously get our score down here at the end, but they're going to get a lot of stats about how we play. And one of the things, that I like to do with stat tracking is, one, it's very good for your own game, but it also shows that you really care about what you're doing. So we do like to incorporate this. Now, the one we use here, it actually gives us some graphs that work out really well, just to make it a little more presentable. But then we go from there with our stat tracking, and again, we'll send to the coach and we'll reference it in the email. Say, if you want to see a little bit more about my tournament rounds, the stats, and how I play, here you go. From there, I would leave it at that. Now, one thing we have done in the past too is we have included some evaluations of what we're working on. Just depends if where the coach is at. If they like to see a little bit more, then we will do that. This is our evaluation we do periodically with all of our students, and we do a short game one as well. And so then we do a TPI evaluation as well, which you'll see here. And then we eventually get into power and speed evaluations as well. So we just, again, like to show them, hey, we are thinking about our game and what we're doing and what we're trying to work on. So here's the plan they would get. Occasionally that comes up, but again, I would only put this in if they asked for it coming back. I would stick with the stats, I would stick with the GPA, and I would stick with the ACT, SCT score, tournament stats, just basically what you saw when we had to search for schools, right? We're looking for ACT, SCT. They don't have GPA on here, but that is something that will really matter. And then we're looking for the scoring average. Those are kind of the big things that you're looking for when you are kind of going through this process. So that's what we would do. From there, we would put together about 5 schools, try to do our research up front, and show, hey, we know what we're talking about. So again, if we go back into our list, have and actually let's put together a list of some females schools. Okay, so we'll get on this women's side and let's see what we can put together. So I'm going to reset this form here real quick, and we'll go from there. But I think the one thing you'll see when you go through this, what I think's kind of eye-opening is, let's just switch over to girl side. We're going to leave everything blank, so we're only going to put in scoring average, and we're not searching by any location. But all of a sudden, we just said our number 3 player has to average over 100. All of a sudden, look at all the schools that you pull up on the ladies' side. Okay, and again, there's so many places in so many different areas that you can look at. Look at Trinity right here in Palos Heights, right there, 136 for their number 3. I mean, that's the type of stuff that we're looking at, and that's the type of stuff that is out there. Forget it. We know how to get it. So highly recommend you start doing it. Now, this is something again, we do this with all of our students in our programs, and so that way we have goals of what we're working towards, and then hopefully the goals change and we can start, moving around and maybe moving up in where we think we could go. But we do as a program, uh, for anybody that's looking for help getting colleges, getting some research done. This is something that we'll do here at Scott Open Golf for you as well if you're interested in. So you just give us a shout, contact us, visit scottopengolf.com, and we can do this for you. Now, as far as how many schools, we will typically get you a list of 5, and then we'll go from there. But they're going to be well researched. We have a good chance of the coach, saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you more about it." That is our goal. Um, it's that is what we are trying to do, but we will have some backups as well. But if you're part of the program, we keep upgrading you and keep updating the list and go throughout. But if you're interested in getting the list of 5, yeah, let us know. So if you have any questions too, please just shoot me an email, scott@scottopengolf.com. Happy to help assist in this, answer as many questions as you can. So you'll see, I'll have the video already up on the website if you need to see this again. And then again, if you need to contact us, come to scottopengolf.com and you can come find us here and contact us about it. All right. So if you have any questions, appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming, and hopefully help you get to your juniors' goals of playing at that next level and showing that it is possible more than maybe we even thought so starting out on this journey.